A few weeks. That's what we had to advise a former UK prosecutor setting up her country's first CIC for sexual harassment at a workplace, and the stakes were high. They weren't looking for someone to build their system. They were looking for expert guidance to avoid foundational mistakes that sink credibility, re-traumatize victims, and expose the organization to risk before launching. In this case study, I'll show you exactly how our consulting process mapped out people-first design, defensible operations, and a foundation that can grow with the organization. I'm Rok, founder of MPL Legal Tech Advisors. With a background in building compliance systems in finance, we now consult legal teams adopt process automation and AI safely by putting governance and people first. The result after a few weeks was a complete operational blueprint, anonymous, safe intake, a clean case register, and standardized processes that protect both trust and capacity. That was delivered entirely through strategic consulting and not software development. Let's jump into it. The CIC was brand new. No intake, no filing system, no register. Now, that might sound as a blank slate, but in this context, the stakes were higher than in any established practice. Design the wrong intake, the individuals may never come forward. Handle information without care, and the credibility is lost before the first report. And with no standardized processes, the team risks burnout by holding everything in their heads. The CIC's mission demanded way more than setting up a few tools. It demanded mapped foundations, safe, defensible, and build around people's experience from day one. So before we could offer any advice, we had to understand the individuals that would be reaching out to the CIC. Our number one step was to map needs and risks, not tools, people. Individuals needed an intake that felt safe, optional, and trauma-informed. Team members needed clarity without drowning in emails. And the CIC itself needed credibility, operations that were GDPR defensible and that did not drift into employer investigations. Now, we captured that in a risk-value matrix, right here. What had to be solved immediately, what could wait, and what carried the highest risk if designed badly. Intake and the case register emerged as clear top priorities, both high value if done right, but equally high risk if done wrong. That's why that became the focus in the steps that followed. If you want a risk-value map like this for your legal team, book a free consultation call with me. Link is in the description. Once we understood the individuals and the risk, we moved to governance. Here we turned those risks into a foundation. We designed a standard filing structure. Every case mapped to the same setup with clear folders for evidence, correspondence, and outcomes. Team doesn't have to hold it in their memory, and there's no missed steps. Without this, the team risks scatter data and nothing defensible if challenged. With it, the CIC has a consistent model that they can apply from day one. And equally important, CIC is not an investigator. That boundary was written in governance rules from the start. It protects credibility and it ensures that the intake is always understood as a support and not mistaken as an inquiry. Once that foundation was in place, we turned to intake, the CIC's front door. This was high risk, high value. Get it wrong and no one comes forward. Get it right and individuals feel safe to take that first step. And so we mapped the intake workflow around three principles. Anonymity by default, no forced logins or unwanted data capture, trauma-informed design, optional fields, calming style, and minimal disclosure. And automatic structure defined from day one. Every intake is designed to tie to a case ID, a folder, and a row in the register. That means that no individual is re-traumatized by an interrogation-style form, and no team member has to rely on their memory alone, scattered emails to keep track. Intake wasn't just about the form itself. We mapped routing options. Does the person want an email exchange, a phone call, or maybe to remain anonymous? Each path is designed to feed into the same register, so the CIC always has one centralized view. The outcome here was a blueprint for intake. Safe for individuals, practical for team members, incredible for the CIC. That's the model they can run manually today and automate tomorrow as they grow. So here is how this mapping looks. The individual lands on a form designed to feel safe. Optional fields only, calming layout, no forced disclosure. They choose whether to leave the contact details or not. As soon as they submit, the automatic workflow takes over. The folder is created automatically with the space for the intake PDF, the correspondence, and any supporting evidence. At the same time, the case register updates with an unique ID, date, and their chosen contact preference. So from the very first click, the individual stays in control, and the team gets a structured record they can trust without lifting a finger. This doesn't require any AI. Okay, now with the intake mapped smoothly and safely, the next challenge was how to track everything in the same place without drowning in spreadsheets. And that's where the case register came in. Every intake, whether by form, call, or email, was mapped to create a unique case ID. That ID defines a folder in the storage and a new row in the register. The folder carries only the ID, never personal names or emails. The register links that ID to optional details like method of contact or urgency. From there, every note, every transcript, and every attachment ties back to that ID. That way nothing is scattered and nothing gets lost. Then we also designed some optional categorization fields like severity or equality of data, and those are not mandatory. They're there for the future and they're there for internal use, so the team can categorize the data further, to be able to understand how they can help the individuals better in the future. The outcome here was a mapped register process, safe, structured, and future-proof, simple enough to run tomorrow manually, and ready to be automated as capacity grows. Here's the register process we mapped. No matter how the intake arrives, form, email, phone, it's assigned a unique case ID. The ID is then what links everything together, a row in the new register, and a proposed folder structure for evidence, correspondence, and outcomes. The register carries only the case ID and not personal names or emails, so it stays defensible. Now, optional fields like severity, they're included for the future. They're not required, but they give the leadership the option to spot the patterns later on. And here's a quick overview of the designed folder structure. You can take a screenshot if it's helpful to you. Our final step was to scope a workshop, not to train on tools, but to teach on collaborating with AI. The CIC founder needed a way to turn her mission into consistent communications without losing credibility or wasting time. So we designed the workshop around one question: how can she use AI without letting it take over? The approach was very practical, and it was abstracted from her own pain points that we discovered during the consulting process. Number one, structured prompting. How to communicate with AI so it mirrors her reasoning instead of giving some generic text. Number two, drafting support. Using AI to create first drafts and alternatives quickly while keeping the final results in her hands. 3. Perspective shifts. Showing how AI can help look at a sensitive issue from multiple angles, making her messaging clearer and more resilient. 4. A content flywheel. Mapping how a single piece of content can be reshaped across channels to multiply the CIC's reach and inform individuals that there is somebody there to help. This wasn't producing content. This was about giving her a method, confidence in when AI can accelerate her work, and clarity where judgment is essential. Now here is how the cycle works, and that is not meant to be automated. That's a mental method. The knowledge that the team gets from processing all those, the awareness of the problems and the mentality behind the individuals that the team gets a picture of when processing the intake, this is turned into anonymized themes, ideas, snippets, and those themes inform draft policies. Those policies then flow into training and public awareness, and this gives her a repeatable cycle, powered by AI for speed, but always controlled by her expertise. And that's why I said that's never meant to be automated. In just few weeks, a CIC walked away with mapped, documented deliverables they could use immediately. First, anonymous, safe intake design, blueprint for trauma-informed form with optional fields, calming flow, multiple routing options. 2, filing system and a register model, standardized folders for evidence, correspondence, and outcomes, all tied to unique IDs, and standard operating procedures for handling the cases, covering intake steps, team handoffs, and governance boundaries, because the CIC is not an investigator. 4, a workshop framework, methods for structured prompting, perspective shifting, and content scaling with AI, scoped to communications. And 5, a complete handover pack. Every workflow mapped, every decision documented, so the CIC could run the model manually tomorrow and know exactly what to automate later. That was all presented in a workshop so we could empower them and not make them dependent. These weren't just paper deliverables. They addressed the real risks in the discovery. The designed process was safer for the individuals. Working closely together with the future CIC made it clear that if the intake would feel unsafe, the individuals wouldn't come forward. The trauma-informed design makes it more likely now for the individuals to report because they stay in control. The second value is less cognitive load on the team members. Talking to them, they admitted that everything was in their head. The mapped filing and the register gave the team relieved that mental burden, creating clarity and capacity. Number 3, credible and defensible data. Funders and partners would question credibility without structured records. By tying every case to a unique ID and standard folders, the CIC now has defensible operations that build trust. Number 4, future-proof reporting. Leadership wanted the option to spot patterns, severity, equality data, but not to force disclosure. Optional categorization fields solve that issue. And 5, confidence from day one. Instead of a vague direction, the CIC left with a mapped-out system they could run immediately, aligned with their mission and safe for the individuals reaching out to them. Thanks for sticking till the end. The CIC went from a blank slate to a mapped operational model in a matter of weeks. Safe intake, structured governance, defensible register, and a communications method that fits their mission. No software was built or bought, no effort was wasted on that. Because first, they needed clarity, structure, and confidence that they're acting the right way from day one. And this isn't just for new organizations or legal practices. Whether you're starting from scratch, scaling fast, or untangling messy processes, the same principle applies. A focused few-week assessment turns risks and guesswork into a clear, defensible model you can run tomorrow. And if you want that clarity for your legal team or law practice, that's exactly what we do at MPL Legal Tech Advisors. The first step is simple. Book a free consultation call with me today. The link is in the description. Now, if this helped you answer the question how you can go about AI safely and systematically, hit that like button. I have more to share in the future. And follow along for an interview with the CIC's founder coming soon. See you in the next one.